So thank you to those who are logging in on the webinar, joining me here, and to those who will be able to stream seeing it on Facebook Live. Hot slachel. Good afternoon, Natosha Gobin seed stat. Stohobs chud chada stoquabu chud chada spoyalapabs chud chada sak buh I soyak buh. Chud chada skajatabs to all chuduf lelap. Gobin young ti baraligwa de ishid, Hill Price ti skoyaligwa de ishid, abs budbarat chud aquid salalats, utech duf chud ti staltalech, dufs chawatil chud chada duf squad, chud chada duf sugusalik ti dxວləšucid, as butlachi bitabutlid, twaltis alap altiet slacheo. Good afternoon. My name is Natosha Gobin. I am of Snohomish, Snoqualmie, Puyallup, Saxuatl, and Skagit descent, a member of the Tulalip tribes. My father's side of my family are the Gobin and Young families, and my mother's side of my family are the Hill and Price families. I am a proud mother of 5 kids, and I'm also raising 2 of my nephews. I am a student first, and then a speaker and a teacher of the Lushootseed language, focusing on the Northern Lushootseed dialect. And I want to raise my hands to each and every one of you for joining me today. The Tulalip Tribes Lushootseed Department will be hosting weekly lessons. Each week, one of our staff members will be going live to share a short Lushootseed lesson. And depending on which teacher and what workload they're doing, they might do 2 classes a week, or they might be able to do 4 classes a week. This week, I'm shooting for all 4 days, Monday through Thursday, during the lunch hour, hoping not to take up too much of your time, but just to share a little bit of Lushootseed with you all. And this will be going through the rest of the summer, and it will be ending the first week of September. So please keep an eye out for the emails, for the posts on Facebook. We will try to share it as much as we can so that we can get people logging in and participating. All right, so what I wanted to start out with, being the first one to jump on board for the lessons, is I wanted to share place names. This has always been an interesting topic to talk about. So when we look at this map right here, this is a map of all of the local tribes and their river systems. And we teach this within our 101 class. What we're going to do today is we're going to go through a couple of these river systems. We are going to learn about the tribes that occupied that territory, and we're going to learn how to say their names, and also get some insight on how they were documented to how we see them in English today. So the first thing that we need to do, though, is when we look at this map, we're looking at a westernized map. We're looking at the colonized map of our territory. So this is how we would typically see a map. Normally, there would be a compass in the corner that would say north, south, east, and west. In our way of life, we didn't view the territory this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the map on its side. And this is the way our ancestors viewed the territory. When we dealt with the land and the water, we dealt with it in the ways that we would travel. So we would go upland in order to hunt. We would go downstream or down the river out into the salt water to go and harvest fish and shellfish and other sea life. So being people that traveled by canoe, this is the way our ancestors viewed the world around us. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the people in the territory on number 1. So we've labeled this number 1. And this big stretch of river, this stretch is the Skagit River. In Lushootseed, the way that we say this is Skagit, Skagit, Skagit. So this is the Skagit River. This is where our upper Skagit relatives live. Skagit. So the way that we have it documented in English is Skagit. So it's pretty close to the way that we say it in Lushootseed, Skagit. The next one, we're going to go to number 2, and you'll notice that we have 2 river systems here. And both of these river systems both go into the Skagit River. Close relatives of our Skagit people. We have 2 groups. We have Sakbiu, and Soyat. So this territory right here is our Sauk-Suwattle. So normally you would see it SAUK-SUIATTLE, Sauk-Suwattle. But what this comes from is Sakbiu. And at the time that it was written down, our language went through a sound change. This could have been from English influence, but the M's and N's were pronounced. They are no longer pronounced. We use B's and D's in place of those. So the way it would have been documented, the way we would have heard it from our ancestors at that time is Sakmiu. And then you'll notice this bu and mu come up in some other words. So our Sauk-Suwattle relatives, Sakbiu, Soyat-biu. Okay, down here, this water system right here, this is our relatives, the Swudubj. At the time when the word was documented, it would have been Swanumj. So I bet some of you guys can guess what this territory is, especially if you're familiar with looking at it this way. This is our Swinomish relatives, Swinomish. And the root word comes from the word gwud. Now, when we write some of these words down, or when our ancestors would say them, there were some sounds that weren't pronounced. So they would, the letters would get dropped. Some of the sounds would get dropped. So for this one, it could have been Squadubsh, Squanumsh, but that G may not have been pronounced, and therefore it got dropped. Gwud means down. So a lot of you guys might be familiar with the word Gwadil. Gwadil, one of the most common words. Gwadil, sit down. So down. When we look at their territory on the map, and through knowing their relation with the Skagit, Swudubj or Swanumj, coming from the word Gwud, lower, it's the people at the lower end of the river. So when we look at this Skagit territory, people at the lower end, Swudubj, Swanumj, are Swinomish relatives right here. And this is the Swinomish channel. Swanumj. All right, moving to Bose, number 4. We have this river system right here, the North Fork and the South Fork of the Stillaguamish. So what we have here, Stolaquabsh. The word Stolak means river. And this ending right here, let's talk about this ending. Absh is a group of people. So you'll notice this absh ending at the end of some of our words. And then you'll notice buh, group of living things. So a lot of our place names, a lot of our tribes, they're going to have buh or absh at the end of them. Or at the time of it being documented, muh or amsh. So the Stolaquabsh, Stolak River, and then Absh, group of people. This is the people of the river people, Stolaquabsh. And then right here, this is another sound difference that we have, some different sound changes. The G raised W and the K raised W, those were interchangeable in some of our words. So at the time that it was documented, Stolagwamsh. Stolagwamsh is how you would have heard it. Stolagwamsh, which makes it easier for you to make that connection with Stilagwamish. Stilagwamish. Stolagwamsh. And today we say Stolakwabsh. All right, the next one, number 5. This is our territory that we are in right now. This is the Snohomish River. Snohobsh. 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 Snohobsh Chud. I am Snohomish. And then we have right here, at the time that it was documented, it would have been pronounced Snohomish. 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 Which hearing that, you can hear Snohomish. So the Snohomish, our people have obviously our river system named after us. We have a county, we have a city, and that same goes for the Skagit. So Skagit County, Snohomish County. So this is the Snohomish. Okay, and the last one that we're gonna go over today is Snoqualmie. Snoqualmie. So this is our relatives, the Snoqualmie. So we're sharing this territory, this river system, Snoqualmie. Snoqualmie. At the time that it was documented, you would have heard Snoqualmie. Snoqualmie. Snoqualmie, which is closer to how you see it written in English today, Snoqualmie. Snoqualmie. All right, so this mu, this letter right here, this X-rays W, that's like blowing out a candle. Snoqualmie. This is one of the most common letter sounds that gets dropped due to English influence. So as English speakers, we want to be able to connect these Lushootseed words to English sounds. And there's a handful of letters and sounds that just, you cannot find the right combination of letters to make that sound. So for Snoqualmie, you notice Snoqualmie, there's me. You don't hear that mew, mew, Snoqualmie. So that X-rays W sound, that's one of the most common sounds that got dropped within the language. Snoqualmie. So let's go over these again. This territory right here, Skagit, Skagit. And let's do this. Let's say it 4 times, because that's one of the ways for us to help retain it. Skagit, 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 Skagit. And that Q comes from back here. Skagit. Okay, for number 2, the first one we're going to do, Sakbu. 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 And the next one that we'll do, Soyak. This letter right here, we call it the running man. That's a clicking sound. Soyak. 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 All right, next we're going to move on to our Swinomish relatives. Swadubsh. 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 Okay, moving on to number 4, our Stillaguamish relatives. stolaquabj, 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 stolaquabj. Moving on to number 5, the territory that we are in right now, Sdohobj, 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 Sdohobj. And the last one for today, Sdoqualbu, 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 Sdoqualbu. Diet hot. So tomorrow's lesson, we are going to move further in the territory, and we will go over how to say Duwamish, how to say Muckleshoot, how to say Puyallup, how to say Nisqually, how to say Squaxin, and how to say Suquamish. And depending on how much time that takes, we will either be telling a traditional story tomorrow, or that will be on Wednesday's lesson. And this is going to be, I'm really excited about this traditional story. It's one of my favorites. It's a traditional story about Swayok, the basket lady. Okay, so before we log off, like I said, these are going to be very short lessons. We value everybody's time. We wanted to figure out when we could log in and provide a short isolated lesson for you. And for me, since I'm hosting it this week, I figured let's get you guys during the lunchtime. So if you're on your commute to enjoy your lunch, or if you have the time to log in, that's why I chose the lunch hour. So that's what time I will be hosting these this week. We will also be recording these, and we will find a way to get the recording sent out to you. Remember that you can log into these either by logging into the Zoom webinar, or you can log on to Facebook. I don't have anybody monitoring Facebook to see if we have any questions. And I checked on here, and I have 17 participants. Thank you guys for showing up today. No questions going on. I hope you guys enjoyed learning how to say these place names. These are the rivers that you drive over when you're traveling on I-5. We see these names. So to be able to make a connection to how our ancestors say these words and some of the meanings, that's really powerful. It's part of us reclaiming our language, reclaiming our place and our space here. So thank you all for joining me today. That was a quick 15-minute lesson. I look forward to sharing more of the place names with you all tomorrow. So I got a question here. Are you going to email the lessons to the ones that attended? If you guys would like to, if you would like a recording, please reach out to our manager, Michelle Balaget, and then she can get the recording link sent out to you. Michelle Balaget, I should have been prepared to have her contact information on here, but you can reach out to Michelle Balaget through tribal email, mbalagot, mbalagot at tulaliptribes-nsn.gov. So tomorrow I'm going to be a little more prepared, and I will have a slide that has Michelle's contact information, so you can reach out to her to get a hold of the recording of each of the lessons. So go to tulaliplushootseed.com.
Or they can email.
Okay, so email Michelle, or she just popped in to let me know that you can always visit our website, tulaliplushootseed.com. So if you go to tulaliplushootseed.com, Dave will have the information for you to email Michelle and get a copy of the recording, or he'll be posting it. He will be working some magic. And then the only question that I did get in the webinar, are we automatically muted and no camera option? Correct. Yes, we're just doing this webinar style. It's intended to be just a quick lesson. And then by all means, if you guys ever have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to our department, and we'll get you guys whatever information you need. So I don't want to take up any more of your time. Thank you all so much for logging in today. I hope you guys can join me tomorrow at 12:10. The webinar will go live and it'll be live streamed on Facebook. Hoitsiaya. Goodbye, friends. Take care.